Welcome to today's The Art of Feeling Better episode. And what a time to be alive. My goodness, this is intense stuff happening right now. And what I'm feeling is that you will either be in one of two different spaces. You will either be full of anxiety and fear and restriction and stress and uncertainty. And when I say what a time to be alive, you'll say, what? This is awful. This is the worst experience. It's awful. I'm not enjoying it at all. Or you'll be in the other space where you have no idea what's coming next, but you know it's going to be better. You are feeling the same stuff in your body, the excitement, the fear of the unknown in a positive way, right? It's how you're framing it. And you will be feeling that there's some anticipation that something's coming, something's shifting. You might not know what, you might not know when, you might not know how, but this is different than you've ever experienced before. And you will be looking on it as being on the cusp, on the threshold of something new and amazing and brilliant and expansive. And you're ready. You're ready to get out of that old crap, the old mindset, the old stuff. You'll be looking at the news and seeing what's going on the planet with governments, with structures, with harm and abuse and damage and corruption and greed and violence, and you'll be saying, nah, I'm not interested in that anymore. Bring on the new. You won't be getting consumed and swamped by all the stuff that goes with that. And you won't even be in a space anymore. This is, how I'm feeling it. You won't even be in that space of injustice, fight, we must fight this, because you'll recognize that doesn't work. It's not that way. We can't fight this, these big structures. We have to do the inner work. We have to level up. And there is so much going on in the metaphysical space. And it's kind of why I'm starting to journey more and more myself into this honest expression and this authenticity and speaking about the stuff that in years gone by I would have been absolutely bashed for and ridiculed and cast out and burned at the stake, so on and so forth. But I'm really being called to share this stuff, right? And part of what I wanted to share in today's episode is around the need to, I suppose it's like a last ditch attempt, a call to action to anyone out there who's kind of been in the old space and is struggling with that and has really been struggling to comprehend or even consider that there might be something more. They might have been stuck in that space and thought, well, that's just the way it is. And now they're wobbling a little bit. And maybe they have a conspiracy theorist friend that they've been bashing and they're starting to think, I don't like this, but maybe there's some truth. Maybe there's something that I needed to suspend my own judgment and you don't quite know how to do that. And you're thinking slightly differently. Because I really, really, really want to be able to, my path, my purpose here, and the whole reason that I took the courageous step to step out of my old industry and with no plan, with massive risk, trust my intuition to create something completely different. Right? I'm going to talk about that in a moment. The whole point of that, I'm now coming to realize, is for this time right now, because something is shifting that nobody really could see coming to this extent. And now it's here and we're in it. There needs to be a roadmap of some description, a set of tools, and amazing people doing amazing things all over the world. And my part to play is my bit right here, right? That's why I keep sharing and getting more and more authentic as I go. And if you're in that space where maybe a few years ago you would have not even looked twice at anything that I'm saying or listened, or maybe you would have just passed things off as, well, I used to know her when she was normal and now she's had a bit of a mental breakdown, she's gone all weird and woo-woo, or not my bag, not my stuff. Maybe you've been ridiculing this kind of stuff for your whole life and now you're starting to think, maybe this is better than the alternative. Then this message is for you. And it's also for you guys who are already on the page, you're already lined up, you're already doing the inner work, you've already understood. Maybe you've jumped out, like me, of an old career, of an old mindset, of an old space. You've done the inner work, you've done the inner child work, you've healed some old wounds, you've started to understand your intuition is so powerful. You understand a little bit more about energy, maybe not as much as you'd like to, but you understand that there are things that are missing from our script, the things that are hidden, things that we have the potential to connect in with that we just don't have the language for yet. You're ready for it. Maybe you have your own practices, maybe you're faith-based and there's something very specific for you. Whatever it is, you know there's something more and you are acting and you're living to those values and you're ready to explore further. This is also for you guys. Anybody who's not in that space and who is firmly stuck in the old paradigm, in the old kind of 3D structure, this is my label, this is who I am, this is just my life. I have the belief that men do this and women do this, that the education system looks like this, and that's what you do, and you are a good boy or a good girl, or you get in trouble. I was born into this family, therefore I will never make anything of myself other than this, because that's the expectation. Or I was born into this particular culture, or this village, or this town, or this city, and that means X, Y, or Z. I have no further potential. It is what it is, and people need to stop talking about anything else because we're just living in a shit show that's on fire and it's all doom and gloom. If you're still in that space, then I just wish you so much love, compassion, kindness, but this is not for you. It really isn't. You need to go somewhere else because you're not going to like it. Fair warning. So the reason I wanted to come on today in particular, it's Earth Day. Right, so I wanted to do something anyway because we have this amazing, beautiful, gorgeous planet, Goddess Gaia. If you look in the solar system, we're the only biological planet that does this amazing stuff and has all these amazing species that we just use, abuse. We believe we own it. How arrogant is that? We believe we can do what we want with it. We can send massive big liners out into the ocean full of crap and plastics and just dump it because we want to. We can just grab land and do what we want with it and then tax people because we feel like it, especially the poor people. They have to pay the most, right? I'm not getting political. I know that's not quite how it works, but you know what I mean. That's how it all started. Yeah, we believe we can manipulate the weather. We can pump out chemicals. We can make people do weird things to their bodies, ingest things half the time without knowing about it, put all kinds of poisoning chemicals in their bodies under the guise of, this is what you need to do because we say so. This will make you better. Here's the next miracle cure. All these crazy things that when you actually take a step back and look at it, it's just batshit crazy. We are not meant to be doing any of this. Human species has gone rogue, absolute rogue renegade. And the wisdom of the shamanic story, which I have talked about in other videos and I will continue to talk about, and you can find inside Mojo School, it kind of backs up just that humans just went completely renegade, rogue, started to kill everyone and everything. And we really had to do something to bring it back and to make sure we all align again and everybody and everything gets back into harmony and balance. Exactly what we're trying to work towards now. So Earth Day, understanding our correlation, connection and contribution to the planet, to nature, to each other, and how we show up responsibly, compassionately, ethically is something that I wanted to kind of bring to your attention today. Not just today, because we have 365 Earth days and we should be doing that every single one of them. But also because this coming Saturday, the 25th of April, and even when I said the words, this sensation in my body's just lit up. If you know, you know. If you have any understanding, rude. If you have any understanding of astrology, if you are in the energetic spaces, if you are on the so many podcasts out there, so many brilliant speakers, people who are from all kinds of different backgrounds talking about this. If you haven't heard or seen anything about it, look, research. This isn't coming from one space. This is not one culty message to get people to do certain things. This is planetary wide. There's amazing people all singing from the same hymn sheet, which just makes it so exciting. The 25th of April, 2026 is a date which that's wrong, actually. I was going to say a date that we've never seen in our lifetime, but we see that every year, don't we? This energetic part, energetic point that is happening on the 25th of April, 2026, we've not seen in any of our lifetimes, which makes it exciting to start with. If you don't like any of this stuff, you just switch off now. But if you do, pay attention because there's a good chance you are going to really feel this. And if you have a little bit of prior knowledge and wisdom, right, you can kind of ground yourself and understand what's going on and have a bit of faith in the outcome. Because I believe the last time the planets did what they're doing now and the energy was moving in this way was in the 1800s, and electricity was discovered. A paradigm shift, right? Something that happened when this conjunction occurred that changed the landscape of human evolution. Things have never been the same since then, right? Absolutely game changing. And this Saturday, we're having the same thing. Now, little disclaimer here. This doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be something cataclysmic or something really super obvious on Saturday that we all go, oh, it might be. And do you know what? I actually hope it will be. Finally, just get this out of the way. It could be something like when electricity was discovered. The ramifications and the repercussions of that aren't quite seen until slightly later when things get distributed. But something is going to happen when this happens on Saturday. This is the beginning of a completely new era. It's a complete paradigm shift. Those who are ready are going to find it much easier. Those who are not, stuck in the old ways and haven't done any of this inner work or any of this consciousness development, are probably going to have a little bit of a rough ride. And I believe, as do many other people, that this is something to do with technology and AI. We're at the next point of our evolution and things are going to change. And I've heard in lots of different spaces, and my own guidance had kind of been saying the same thing, that we're finally at the end of this structure where you can see it, whether you like it or not. Old structures are breaking down. Global economy, banking, the way we do business, the way we hoard wealth and greed and power, the old patriarchal systems, the way education is, because that was formed by the old patriarchal systems, the way healthcare looks, because it's actually sick care, not healthcare, all of the integration with media, what we're consuming, which backs up the stories that we're told and the behaviors that we're meant to be displaying. All of these things, all of these structures that are in the old space are crumbling down at the same time. You need to look and you can see that happening, right? And the threshold this Saturday where everything shifts is going to be more into the harmony, the balance, the uplift, the integration, moving into this new space, this new paradigm, this new energetic frequency, new octave. So many different ways that you can look at this and understand it. The point being, life is going to change. And in my Conscious Creators program, we did a lot of energy work around the month of April. One of the things I said was, you are not going to be the same person at the end of April that you are at the beginning of April. This is the only time this is going to happen. That, we did it on the full moon, 1st of April. So by the end of this month, you will be a different person. And a lot of people have come to me since that call and said they can see it in other people, right? They can see it in their friends and their family. That other people it's happening. People are just jumping out of their jobs. They're jumping out of their careers. They are completely doing a 180. They are just breaking down their own internal structures. That might look like a mental or emotional, physical breakdown because they need to break down in order to break through, right? I just hope that they're supported through that, because it will be great once the support is in place and the new space arises, right? People may be coming out of bad relationships, just family dynamics changing, people putting boundaries in all of a sudden. All this stuff is rumbling up and it's all part of this change. So by the time we get to the end of this month, which is next week, things are going to be shifted and changed. So that might not be visible for a little while after, but it's not going to be too long. And I believe it's a lot around information, around education, around the way we teach, the way we learn, the way we absorb information, the way we use information, the way we communicate information. And lots of that will be around AI and the ability for us to understand things a lot differently, and layers being removed, masks coming off, blinkers coming off, people finally being able to see what's been right in front of them, but they've been unwilling or unable to see and acknowledge and deal with. Lots of work around that, lots of system dismantling, new parallel structures, things that are coming up in the background that work better for humanity, work better for the planet, starting to get legs and starting to get roots and starting to really come into fruition. But a lot around this very expansive space that we've never experienced before and we don't have the language for yet, and we can't really explain because we can only feel, some of us who do that kind of work, how the magnitude of it and how powerful and how expansive it really is going to be. Earth-shattering, game-changing, I can't even explain or put into words the feeling that's coming through right now that we're going to start moving into and experiencing. And if you can get to the space where you're feeling it in that way, this excitement of something new, finally different and more positive, and opportunities to behave differently, to think and feel differently, to collaborate differently, to communicate differently, to live differently, that's such a positive thing. But if, I've done a great deal of inner work and I naturally adept and linked in with this kind of stuff, with change management. It's always been very easy for me, where I know a lot of people really don't like change, and it's very terrifying and scary, and your nervous system will have a lot to say about it, because even though what's happening is not great, it's familiar, and fear of the unknown is sometimes a really big thing for people to try and get their head around, their body around. Um, so I do respect and understand that, and it's one of the reasons they built Mojo School in the first place. And it's been an interesting journey for me on an internal and an external level, on a very personal level, and also what I put out there into my community. Because, there came a time when I went through the shift that I'm explaining to you now, a personal version of that, where everything was breaking down. I knew that I wasn't living my truth or speaking my truth. Um, I knew I had no option but to shift and change and evolve and do something different. And rather than that being very surface level, which it had been for me in the past, I'd just get a new mask and put it on and distract myself with something different. I kind of knew instinctively that I had to do some really deep work to not go back into another cycle. And, that's included a lot of the things that I'm passing on now in Mojo School, a lot of nervous system alignment, a lot of inner child work, a lot of trauma recovery, a lot of ancestral wound healing, all kinds of things, all in balance. A lot of CBT, modern stuff as well, not just the ancient stuff. Lots of looking at my nutrition and looking at my behaviors and all kinds of things. But it took that deep level of work for me to be able to integrate into my space and to be able to bring some of my latent gifts online. So the things that people are asking me about now, and I never thought people would, because I'd always had that kind of witch wound, which I'm currently teaching about. Keep it quiet, keep it repressed, keep it hidden. People don't want to know, and it's not safe to share that kind of stuff. But people are really asking. People that are in healthcare, teachers, ex-teachers that are jumping out, lots and lots of women as well asking me, how does this work? And I really feel like this is me, but I'm terrified. And it's really nice to be able to be authentic in my responses and know that I'm safe in talking in this way. So coming out of my old industry and just doing that level of work and knowing that I had to think differently and I had to try and lead in a way that people might not be ready for, people might not be interested in, receptive to, or even quite hostile about. And with my people pleaser, I had to do all that work because that people pleaser drive for me and the visibility around my witch wound was so strong. I just wanted to do what everybody wanted me to do, what makes people happy, what's expected of me, and then run my own stuff in the background hidden away. So my practices and my thoughts and my alignment has always been there, right? But you might not have seen it if you know me because you'd have seen the version that, the projected version. So actually doing the work so that I could start to feel safer and safer to speak and to do these different things. It must look strange on the surface, all of a sudden gone from that to that, and now all of a sudden she's behaving bizarrely. But for me, it's a very natural progression. It's part of my growth and my own personal evolution of self. And I can remember I've said this loads of times. I said it on stage, I think, before now, which was quite brave of me at the time. But I've said it certainly in my circle that part of my intuition, I'm very visual. As a learner, I'm very visual. And I assume that everybody, like I'm sure you do as well, the way you operate internally, you just believe that that's how everybody operates, right? And this is where we struggle with communication. If you don't understand that everybody has a different way of thinking and feeling and behaving, then you get stuck. And I just assumed that it was the same for everybody until I started talking about it, and people were like, "What?" Ooh. So I get very visual stuff. It's the clairvoyant part of my extrasensory gifts, my sensitivities, and that just means clear vision, right? So I would always have a very clear vision, like imagery or a movie playing out in my head. It'd be like daydreams, or I might have an actual dream. It didn't feel like anything mystical or magical. I'd just have these daydreams and these visions of what the possibilities were. What could I do next? What would I want to do? And I could see it all in technical. I could see it. So for me, I always see the big, huge end game, and then I have to reverse engineer it to take the steps to make that happen because I know that's my future. That's my purpose. That's what I've got to do next. How do I make that work? And what's the first step? And I thought everybody operated like that. Apparently not. So people were saying, "No, I can't even see what I'm meant to do tomorrow. I'm just waiting for somebody to tell me what to do." That's really interesting. So off I would go and I would kind of lean into those gifts and that clairsentience, that clear sense of being able to connect in with things that might not be obvious to everybody else, but being able to sense, the empathy gifts. I'll talk about this in a separate one because the biggest thing for me has been, and I've just written about it in my book, the gift. Energy is my first language. And it took me a long time to realize or admit that. I would say I've always known it, but that sensory perception and the energy is definitely a gift for me. So I would feel into it. And then clear cognizance, clear knowing. Yeah, some of you out there will be in denial that this is a gift for you. You just know truth. Your body knows truth. If you think of something or you hear somebody say something or truth lands in your body, clear cognizance, you know, and you don't know how you know truth. Consciousness is a download. It's out there. The information is there for you to bring down. Your body is your intelligence. So the more we can understand this and actually admit it and start teaching it, the better everybody will be. Doesn't work so well for the current structure though, because it means people have more sovereignty, more choice, more self-direction. So just leave that there in the room. This is why it's all coming online now and we're all starting to lean into this stuff. So I'd have these like the triple threat. Clairvoyance, see the vision. Clairsentience, could sense out what was going on around me and all the dynamics, what I was feeling into it. And then claircognizance, knowing. So it was very easy for me to start differentiating between daydreams and things I've seen on telly and also, just general narrative going on in my mind from the things that I was meant to be doing and the actual intuition and guidance that led me further onto my path to where I am now. And the reason I'm telling you this is because for a long time, what I used to tell people when it was going on is I got movie references quite a lot, right? And I used to have a lot, what would come into when I was thinking about what to do next and getting really pissed off at the fact that I knew what was going on and happening in the world. I could feel it in my bones, knew the sort of the new way of doing things, challenging the education system, challenging health, all these things I knew was part of my piece of work, my plan. And I just want to be very, very vocal and very honest and talk about all of the crazy ass woo-woo metaphysical stuff and get loud. And I would constantly have this image popping into my mind. Braveheart, the film Braveheart, Mel Gibson, right? The bit where they're about to go into battle, and I'm still on. The bit where he's about to go into battle, and he's going, hold, hold. It's a really bad impression, but you know what I mean. Wait, because he knew there was an optimum moment to do that. And it was hold, and that went on for 7 years. 7 years. I was just like, come on, man! But I kept getting it, and it was such a strong feeling in my body. Build and just keep going, keep going, keep getting the information, keep working in these spaces, and repressing my voice so much took its toll, right? Because it used to be really frustrating. And part of that was me still not working through my inner stuff. So I had to then differentiate which bit of this is me sabotaging myself, moving in spaces with clinicians and psychiatrists and doctors and GPs and head teachers and government officials and MPs and speaking truth that I know damn well is truth. And then getting, stay in your lane, dear. I have this badge. I have this certificate. I wear this suit or this white coat. Therefore, I am the authority. You go away with your pink hair and stay in your lane. To which I would go, people pleaser. Probably right there. Yeah, probably just a bit mad. And I shouldn't really be saying that. Sorry, I'll do better next time. And that inner child stuff would come up. And then something would bash it down and go, pack that in. You know what you're here to do, right? And it was a lot of kind of wrangling with myself internally to find out which bits were inner voice, which bits were trauma response, which bits were alignment, and wade through it all. And I kept getting this, just go back in, hold, go back in, get the information, get the data, get the evidence. And we did that for many, many years. Probably too much extent, too long and too difficult, which was my saboteur, making it more difficult than it needed to be because I had a lot of lessons and learnings to pull out at that time. And reflecting on that is like, great, that was like a decade nearly of school for me, like really some tough lessons that I'm really grateful for now because I needed them. And the timing is right now, right? It's right now. And if I'd done that and started to do this kind of work anytime before, I wouldn't have hit this point where we are right now with this huge energetic shift where people want and are ready to and need to hear it. So I really respect the fact that I listened. I followed my guidance, even when people around me were like calling me out. I had one side calling me out on, you've got a platform here and you're usually quite noisy and vocal. Your nickname's Mama Wolf. You fight for justice, like some kind of superhero avenger with weird hair. When you're not, you should be. Call it out. And then I had the other side of me going, wait, hold. Don't burn the bridges, keep the lines of communication, keep in because you need the information and you need to be able to still have connection with these spaces when the time is right. Hold your nerve. So I did that for a long time and then it switched, right? It switched. And all of a sudden we had a point, like a breakdown point where that was no longer possible. It was no longer appropriate. It was no longer, we just weren't able to operate that way anymore. I certainly wasn't, neither was my whole organization. And at that time, I did a little piece of work around this and some reflecting, and everything shifted. And my guidance and my movie metaphors changed to Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner. Like, why am I thinking I haven't seen that film for ages? We watched Field of Dreams tonight, and it just was popping in my head. Let's watch it. And then it just kept coming into my head. If you build it, they will come, or he will come, whatever side of the Mandela effect you're on. And I thought, oh, right, okay. I'm feeling drawn to create something new anyway. So I've got all this information from these years of holding the line, holding my nerve. And I know that I'm meant to draw that out and do something with it. And I knew that I was going to create something. And people have been guiding me, in physical terms, saying, all this stuff, you should bottle it into some kind of secret source. You've got so many tools, so much wisdom, a whole program. It works, but you need to be able to scale and grow because you can't just do it on your own. So I knew I was going to create something. And then when that guidance started to come through, oh, okay, you build it, it'll come. There was no such risk again. There was no evidence that it just hasn't been done. It just doesn't exist, especially using modern technology, ancient wisdom, the platform I was using, all of these things together. It was just brand new. So the level again of trust in my own discernment, my own inner wisdom, my own senses, my intuition, that guidance that I get, wherever you believe it comes from, having to really have faith that it's never been wrong and actually behave in that way and live that truth every day and really move into those values. And for 2 years, that was me. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, building, building, building. So creating Mojo schools, self-funding, sacrificing loads of different things and opportunities that were making the money, didn't feel aligned, didn't feel right. You're meant to be doing this. Right, well, show me the money then, because I can't live off fresh air. But you have to kind of settle into that space and knowing what's right and knowing what's for you. Sometimes you have to leap and the net will appear. So being able to really align with my values and make sure it wasn't from a trauma space, it wasn't from a people pleasing space, it wasn't from any of that old stuff. It was true, aligned, focused, purposeful action. If you build it, it will come. Been doing that for years. And now, my friends, bringing me back to what I originally started talking about, that has shifted again. Right? So that's been there for 2 years, that little bit of guidance. Now I don't even have a language. I don't have a movie metaphor for you. I don't. But something has shifted again, and everything that many people have been doing over the years, and especially for those of you who have felt like the black sheep, the odd one out, the target, the weird one, someone who doesn't quite fit into the box that society tells you you're meant to. This is your time. This coming up right now is your space to shine, to move into, and to share your gifts. It might not have been safe before, it might not have been accepted before, might have been judged and ridiculed, but having the faith in yourself and your own abilities and standing as true as you can in that is going to pay dividends now, because this is your time. And if you've spent your life studiously parading it out in a series of masks and making sure you squeeze yourself and fit into that box, and you're really pleased with yourself that you've managed to stay in that space, you are going to find some difficulty in moving into this new space, because it's just energetically we're not aligned with that anymore. So I want to help and support as many people in that space as possible to break out of those boxes and to gently rediscover who they actually are and find their own sparkly star-shaped box, or whatever shaped it might be, for their future. Right? So again, Mojo School, now I know why I built it. Having the hindsight would have made it a bit more comfortable, but now I realize why I've done all the things that I've done, including this podcast, right? Even when there's no listeners, even when there's no particular traction, I knew I was supposed to do it. And I know I'm supposed to do it. And I'm going to continue doing it because somebody out there is going to find value in this. And that is enough, right? So, Mojo School, plenty of stuff in there. If you feel like you need something, if this shift that's occurring now and is going to really catapult on the 25th, if it hits you from out of the blue, there's so many things that I can offer in my personal container that I have built that may support that. And this is for absolutely everybody. There are so many things around um, the mental space, being able to understand your thoughts, the programming that's gone in since birth, how you can rewire the system, all the cognitive stuff, being able to actually step into your truth and understand what's going on. There's lots of somatic grounding, using your body to support your nervous system. Lots of work around the nervous system when I moved to the third quarter, and that's all around building in emotional safety, emotional capacity, release work, creative work. Even if you hate the word creative and you don't think you're creative at all, there's some tools to help you because that's the expansive space you need to be in. Lots more work, deeper work that I'm doing with some of my programs around sacred nervous system and energetically moving through these trapped emotions or energy in motion and being able to name them and work with them. And it's a parts work included there. So there's lots of sort of deep psychology stuff woven in through it. And then that spiritual development, that leadership, that moving into purpose and values and something more, however that looks to you. Right. So there's a very basic entry level toolkit. If you are having a catastrophe at the moment, if you are having some kind of existential crisis, if the energy is moving through you and you don't even know what's going on, then this stuff is for you because it's basic, it's entry level, it's self paced. You do what you want when you want, and it's going to help you. Trust me. If you are already on that journey and you are leveling up and you're excited like me and you know it's your time and there's something more, then we've got Conscious Creators Program. Lots of energy work, all the stuff in Mojo School anyway, but I hold your hand through it. Lots and lots of alignment, lots of planetary stuff, lots of energy work, lots of tools and things that you can use to help you on that part of your journey, expanding some of your perceptions, consciousness stuff, loads in that program. And then I have my inner alchemy and integration mapping, very, very few spaces. There's a couple of people on it already. I've got a couple more left if you're interested. And that is one-to-one work with me where we go through real deep dive stuff, lots and lots of support over 12 months. And you do that absolute transformation that you've been waiting for and you know that you're ready for. So if that's you, just let me know. As always, I would appreciate a like, a comment, give this a share, however feels right for you. And just let me know how you're feeling about all of this. But please, please look after yourself and nurture yourself and understand that we are conditioned into believing that only the things that we can, taste, touch, see, feel, hear are our reality. And in that respect, it's going to become very, very frightening and scary for a lot of people when things start to move in a different way and we start to feel things that we've never felt before. And we start to understand that there is something more and lots of things have been hidden and repressed from us. And if you are somebody who's already in this space and you've been working through this, be kind to people who might have ridiculed you in the past and might have bashed you for your beliefs because they're going to need you. They're going to need your support. And that's all part of this, raising your vibe is keeping that compassion, holding your boundaries, but actually not being a dick in return, right? We've got to kind of level up a little bit. If you are somebody who's potentially been quite hostile and maybe you've been triggered by this kind of conversations before and you've bashed and you've judged, be kind and compassionate to yourself that you're working with what you can at the time. And if you can reach out to somebody, hope that they're compassionate in return and get some support and some help because this is big stuff that's coming. It's so different. And I think have a little think about what the future looks like to you, what the current climate is looking like in terms of AI, and is it frightening or is it actually a tool if we use it properly? Is it something that we can actually use to free up ourselves and make our lives what it should be? If the control systems aren't in place, does that make a difference, is what I'm saying? Are we able to use some of these things to keep on evolving and growing and doing amazing things without all the greed and the money and the power and the toxicity and the harm? If that energetic structure and those powerful spaces are removed, imagine a world that we could have. I was just listening to a podcast this morning about that and the potential for us all to move into a space where we are all doing what we absolutely love, the education system changing so that children are nurtured for their skills, their talents, what they want to do, what lights them up. and there being roles around that and us being able to understand this a little bit better. Obviously, we can't now because education, as we know it, was aimed to get people compliant in boxes, doing as they're told, putting children in uniform, so we can have uniform children, right? That doesn't work, and that's why so many kids are really reacting at the moment because they know it doesn't work and they feel it and they ain't going because it's not right for them. So imagine if we have space where, any learning environments, and I've talked about this in the very educational, highbrow techie spaces, not just the woo-woo spaces, the AI will be replacing teachers, very teachers. Some of you know that and you're jumping ship because you know it just does not feel right in your body to be in that system anymore. But you can access learning anywhere. If you want to learn a subject, you can learn a subject. There's different ways to impart wisdom, to learn, to research, critical thinking skills, being able to do that rather than just a memory test so that by rote you can then repeat something back in a test, whether whether it's right or wrong. His story is his story, right? So we don't know whether we are actually learning truth and repeating truth or just doing what we're told because it keeps us in a space that benefits somebody else, right? Real learning is a journey and it needs to be person-centered. So education can look very different. It can be, as Vanessa and I have said a few times, the majority of the time outside, learning new skills, learning about your environment, learning how to collaborate, learning teamwork skills, leadership skills, practical skills. And then if you're academically minded, certain amount of time inside a space, a beautiful library space or a space of learning or e-learning or tech, or there's space for everything, right? If the structures that run it are in the right space. Having AI to be able to impart wisdom and knowledge and for us to be able to learn to research properly and look at data and critically think and assess and analyze, come to our own truth, share that with the ability to debate and not just defend and deflect. All of those things can be done without the structure that currently exists. Same with workplaces, the hierarchical structures, middle management. Sorry, guys, but you're going to be useless because no one's going to need middle management. Maybe CEOs and people that are innovating and leading new businesses and practical work that can't be replaced by AI will be relevant. Other than that, I do believe, as do a lot of people in this space, that we are moving into this space, this Aquarius space. How woo is that? Where we will be living in a very, very different way in the not too distant future. And money will only be one element. So we will be able to exchange time, we will be able to exchange skill, and we'll be able to exchange our what we have in the bank, or if it's gold or whatever you're kind of investing in. It's going to change. It's going to change whether you believe me or not, whether you like it or not. And I think being able to actually comprehend that and just even think of it as a possibility is going to help you a lot when things do start to shift. Yeah, there was a few other things that I wanted to mention there, but they've gone. So that mustn't be the right time to share, right? Listen to the guidance. Yeah, different ways, new ways, exciting time to be alive. People for generations and generations have been stuck in this system where they just work, eat, breathe, die in this awful paradigm. We are here now, whatever age you're at, wherever you are in the world, where we're part of this change. So I really want to just offer you the opportunity to think and make good choices and choose how you want to be part of this shift, how you want to integrate, how you want to move through this, and what you want to bring to the table and what you want to learn from this experience. So if you give that some thought now, then you'll be a little bit better prepared when things start to feel a little bit unsteady. Keep yourself grounded, learn how to do that if you don't already know. You need to be expansive in this space and super grounded in this space, right? Not one or the other. You need support with that. You know where to come. So, that being said, take care on Saturday. Let's see if anything magical, mystical, or dramatic does happen. And if not, I can guarantee you there will be something magical, mystical, and dramatic going on in the background. So, exciting times. Hope you all have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're doing, and a beautiful rest of the week. And I will see you next time on the Art of Feeling Better.